Today we're going to be picking it up right where we left off on Tuesday, so let's get spooky. Greetings everyone, my name is Nightshade, this is The Night Shift, a home for all things spooky, and today we're looking at Hatchet 2, released in 2010. After watching Hatchet for the first time in my life last week, I was super eager to check out the sequel, and I did exactly that. The very next day, I watched Hatchet 2, and I had myself a good old time. But is it as good as the first one is? Well, today we're going to be talking about that. For this film, I'm going to be breaking it down into three categories: the positives, the negatives, and the gray area. Let you know what I liked about this film, what I didn't like about this film, and what I was indifferent about. Then after that, I'm going to tell you what my favorite scene in this film is and exactly why it is my favorite scene. Then when we are done with that, I'm going to score this out of 10 and end the video. But here on The Night Shift, we always start things off on the bright side with... So the cast in this one, again, is pretty solid. We get Tony Todd returning in this film, and this time we get to see even more Tony Todd. We get Tom Holland in this film, not the one from Spider-Man, but the one that was responsible for the creation of the first Child's Play film. Kane Hodder returns to play Victor Crowley and Victor Crowley's dad again. I know they said Victor Crowley's dad's name, but I don't remember. We get Danielle Harris in this film, who is famously the niece of the boogeyman himself, Michael fucking Myers. She replaces the previous actor who was doing Mary Beth's role, and she plays Mary Beth in this film. John Carl Buechler makes what I'm assuming is his final appearance in this franchise for obvious reasons. And another little thing that I want to mention here, even though it's not really casted or they don't make an appearance in this film, they are mentioned by name. They do make a reference to Leslie Vernon from Behind the Mask in this film, which my inner horror geek freaked the fuck out about. I love a good shared universe, and I really need to talk about that film on this channel, but we will do that sometime in the future. Right now we're talking about Hatchet. Now we don't have as many horror icons in this one, but it's still filled to the brim with people that were in horror movies previously, and I am a huge fan of that. So obviously had to make it here on the positives list. Moving right along into my next positive, we have... So the story takes place directly after the first film does, right where we left off. It starts off with Mary Beth screaming in Victor Crowley's face, and she gets away, and then we start the actual story of the film. After her escape, Mary Beth reaches out to Reverend Zombie, who is Tony Todd's character, and she reaches out to him for help to go back into the swamp so she can retrieve the body of her dad and her brother, and he agrees to help her and enlists the help of a small little local hunting party. And he commissions them to go back into the swamp and retrieve his boat, because we find out that the boat in the first film was actually owned by him. He also offers the hunting party a large sum of money for the death of Victor Crowley. They all go into the swamp, and things happen exactly as you believe they would. A lot of people die in a brutal fashion. I love it when a story continues directly after the previous film. I love it whenever they sew those things in seamlessly. It's like Halloween 1 and Halloween 2 in that regard, in that, Halloween 1 and Halloween 2 take place on the same night. This one starts off where the other one finished off and continues with the next day. And I enjoy it. So, the story made it on the positives list for me for sure. With that being said, let's go ahead and move on into my next positive, which is... Kane Hodder returns as the deformed homicidal ghost of the swamp, doing what he does best, which is murder. The makeup looks a little bit different on this one. I mean, 4 years have passed since the previous film, so obviously the makeup's not going to be exactly the same. It's a little bit different, but it's not bad. I think the makeup looks pretty good in this film, though I do think that I like the makeup in the first film just a little bit better. But, the makeup's not bad, and, Kane Hodder doing what he does best in a stunning fashion. Always a positive. He's big, he's brutal, he's badass. Enough said. With that being said, let's go ahead and move on into my next positive, which is... Again, we get some good, solid kills. And again, they do not skimp out on the red stuff. You know, the kills are just as brutal as the first film, which is always a good thing to see. A lot of times sequels kind of pussy out and don't do as much as the first one does, or they ramp the kills up to 1,000,000. This one does neither of those. It actually is on par with the previous film in how the kills were executed, and much like the first film, the kills are the star of the show in this one, and they are done really, really well. One of the kills in this movie was actually almost going to be my favorite scene in this film, and that is, you know, the double kill with the world's largest fucking chainsaw you've ever seen in your goddamn life. It was a badass kill with a ridiculous weapon. I'm all for it. But a different kill beat this one out, so, you know, we'll talk about that later. And just like that, we are out of positives for this film. So let's go ahead and move on to the next segment. It's, you know, things that weren't good enough to be positives, but not bad enough to be negatives. It's somewhere in the middle. It is. I feel a little indifferent on the recasting of Mary Beth. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Danielle Harris. She is one of my favorite scream queens of all time. Like, I've quite literally grown up with this woman watching her films. So my beef isn't necessarily with Danielle Harris. I think she does an amazing job in the role that she was given. That being said, you know, it's very weird with them recasting Mary Beth, especially after the way things left off and the way this movie starts. Like, literally, this film starts off on the next frame, so if you're going to watch this as a double feature, there's a vast difference in actresses that you're watching on screen. It's like, I don't hate it, but I don't love it. It's weird. I don't know if the first actress just didn't want to be a part of this movie or what, but I kind of wish she was in this one because again, you know, I love Danielle Harris. She's an awesome actor, but it makes me feel some type of way, especially if you were to watch this as a double feature. And it's just a big tonal shift for one, because Danielle Harris portrays this character a little bit differently than the previous actor. So there is a solid tonal shift. Then again, you know, after Mary Beth had a night filled to the brim with trauma, I guess she wouldn't be the same as she was in the previous film. But either way, it's different, and I'm feeling very indifferent about it because, you know, on the plus side, we get Danielle Harris. On the negative side, it's a different person playing the previous Mary Beth. So, like, I don't know. It made me feel some type of way, and I couldn't quite put it on a negative, but I definitely couldn't keep that in the positive. So it's here in the gray area. That is the only thing that I'm feeling indifferent about on this film. So now it's time we move on to the not so bright side of things with I found that the curse thing was a little unnecessary. Like, I'm all for the added lore of, you know, Mary Beth's dad being one of the people that was responsible for Victor Crowley's death. Well, maybe not his death, but, you know, the burning of his house, which led to his death. But, you know, the whole affair thing with Victor Crowley's dad and his wife and her cursing the child and everything like that. It wasn't necessary. I don't think it was necessary. No, I was enjoying the fact that he was a deformed human being, like with Elephant Man type makeup. I thought that was cool, and it didn't need to be because of a curse or anything like that. You know, him being a deformed human being that's very reminiscent of like the Elephant Man, who died in a tragic accident, whose spirit is restless because it seeks vengeance. I thought that was fine enough. We didn't need like a corny scene with the wife cursing, you know, Mr. Crowley and his partner, his mistress. Like, that added bit of lore wasn't necessary, and it just comes off a little schlocky. But not like the good kind of schlock, like kind of cornball schlock, if you know what I mean. I don't know, it just didn't do anything for me personally, so that's why it is here on the negatives. Up next on my negatives list, we have... We got some more rapid-fire negatives coming for you right now. Much like the first film, the sets feel small on this one. I think they filmed this one on a soundstage as well. It's noticeably small scale, and you know, I had to point it out because once you see it, you don't unsee it, and if you didn't notice, I'm sorry for pointing it out. Again, much like the first film, this is cheesy, and I do believe that this one is cheesier than the first film. I think some of the acting and dialogue is a little bit worse than it was in the previous film. Some of the written jokes for this film make me roll my eyes. They're like, they didn't stick the landing on the jokes. Some of the dialogue's corny and some of the jokes are definitely corny, but you know, I think it adds to the charm of the film. Also, I think it's noteworthy that the cinematography took a little bit of a hit on this one. You know, the previous film was like surprisingly cinematic, and it was noteworthy of putting it on the positives list. This one, it's not as cinematic as the previous film. Like, it's still there, but it's not as good. I feel like this film was shot by somebody else. I can't confirm nor deny. I mean, oh, dude, I thought I saw somebody around the corner there, dude. That fucking freaked me out. Anyways, again, the cinematography took a little bit of a hit in this film. It's a noticeable difference, so I felt it noteworthy here. But other than that, I'm happy to say that those are the only negatives that I have for this film. Now, the rapid-fired miscellaneous negatives are, you know, they're just small little gripes that I have. That's nothing too serious. So for the most part, I would say that this film is on par with the previous film. Like, there's a few differences, but it's not terribly different, and you know, that's kind of a relief. You know, sequels oftentimes don't live up to their predecessors, but I'm happy to report that this one is on par. So, you know, there you have it. So now that the review portion is out of the way, let's go ahead and move on to the next segment, which is... Reverend Zombie's death is my favorite scene in this film. Because, of course, Tony Todd, one of the baddest motherfuckers to ever enter horror as a whole, would get the coolest death, not only in this film, but like this is one of the best kills in horror. Like, fuck, dude. He gets cut in fucking half, bisected, sliced in twain, as it were. And then Mr. Crowley grabs, like, I'm assuming his spinal column, and then just rips the flesh from his bone to where he's nothing but muscle. Not like muscle, but like muscle. And that was absolutely fucking brutal. Holy shit. Like, that was the creme de la creme of murder. So whenever it comes to Hatchet 2, I'm going to give this film a solid 7 out of 10. You know, we dipped a little bit in quality, and that's mostly because of the cinematography taking a little bit of a hit, but overall this film is on par with the first film, and that is refreshing. And if I'm going to be completely honest, I am super stoked to check out Part 3 and Victor Crowley, which is the fourth film. Really pumped and looking forward to watching those movies next week. And that is just about going to do it for me. If you liked the video, let me know by leaving me a like. Comment down below what you want to see on the channel next. I will do my best to accommodate. I really will. And until next time, my name is Nightshade. This has been The Night Shift, and I will see you in the next video. Stay spooky, my friends. Greetings, everyone. Oh man, it is so much nicer to be back in the studio filming rather than, you know, being outside like I was last week. Being in this thing outside, oh, no, super fucking hot. Like, the chin here held so much fucking sweat after filming that video. It was nasty. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to get a video done for this Sunday, at least not on this channel. I will have something super special planned out for this Sunday on the Shadowland Universes channel. We got a super rare mask that I did a video on, and that should be going up on Sunday over there. If you're a low-key fan and haven't subscribed to that channel, I highly recommend doing so. Like, we're doing some really cool stuff over there, and it's been a lot of fun. And if you're still watching up to this point, congratulations. means you have made it into the Spooky Squad. You watched the video all the way through, and that makes you a real one. So let me know that you are a real one by commenting down below, Spooky Squad 2025. Let me know that you're out there. And that is just about going to do it for me. I will catch you guys next Tuesday on this channel, but you can also catch me on Sunday on the Shadowland Universes channel. I will link that one in the description below, so you can go check that one out if you haven't already. All right, I'll catch you guys next week. Peace.